Well, guys, it happened again. We went and did in America. There was a school shooting well, I think it was a few days ago now. God, it was on Friday, so that would have been like 3 or 4 days ago at this point. Yeah, pretty horrible stuff. It happened in Georgia, and it was at a school, obviously, high school shooting. You guys have probably all heard of it. America did its America shit again. I don't really want to get super deep into the details for myself since I haven't looked super deep into it. I don't, like, when I hear about a school shooting happening, it's not exactly news that I, like, jump to read on. You know, it's just depressing stuff, and it's always happening somewhere. So, you know, I wait until all the story is out, so we've got more information, and then I'll catch up on it and find out if there's anything that I feel I have to say about it. Outside of that, though, this stuff is just kind of, I don't keep up with it. And because of that, a lot of this stuff I'm going to be learning with you guys now. But before we get into it, I just want to say something. You know how, like, you never know when there's a serial killer active anymore in America? Like, I feel like back in the 90s and before then, when there were, like, bodies being found, and there was a connection, clearly, to, like, it being the same person, the word serial killer immediately came up, and then immediately the headlines were dominated with, like, there's a serial killer out there, whoa. And they end up being found, sometimes, usually. They stop reporting on that stuff because the types of people prone to becoming serial killers see that, they recognize that as a way of getting attention, and then they do that. There are still serial killers out there, don't get me wrong, but now they don't sensationalize it. They try to cover it up as much as possible until, you know, all is said and done, because they don't want other people to be inspired into behaving the same way for the attention that these serial killers were doing it for so much of the time. We stopped giving them what they wanted. I'm wondering how much of that is the same for mass shooters. How much of it is them just wanting attention and just following in the footsteps of the last mass shooter that got a bunch of attention before them. And if we just stopped letting the media sphere blow up with information about it, and giving these shooters so much attention, down to making sure their name is known everywhere, on, like, just plastered all over the place, they get their name and face everywhere, they get to make history. If that wasn't the case, I wonder how many fewer shootings we would see. That is 100% how and why the Zodiac Killer did what he did? Interesting, I didn't know that. Well, regardless, I wonder if the media handled mass shooters more like how the media handles serial killers, if we would see a similar drop in that crime. Because granted, we don't know how much less serial killing is happening, but, you know, crime has dropped across the board, even violent crime, since the 90s. So it seemed to have at least some level of an effect. Maybe not causative, but there's definitely a correlation. Can't deny that. They literally put the Columbine shooters on the cover of Time magazine. Yeah. Time magazine is not a great publication, guys. I'm not a big fan of it. Anyway, Appalachia High School shooting suspect Colt Gray and father appear in court for separate hearings. So here's the news video on this. Is it going to make us watch an ad? I bet it's going to make us watch an ad. I'm expecting an ad. Oh, no. There's no ad. And it seems like it's the raw video, too. Is this just straight up raw video of the court appearance? Holy crap. Do we know what the... Okay, fuck off. Do we know what the political motivations, if any, of this shooting were? No, I don't want notifications, Fox. No, I don't want notifications, Fox. Do we know at all? Like... Was there any indication, or does it just seem to be some mentally ill, attention-seeking psycho kid that went and did what they did? As usual, there was plenty of opportunities to prevent this. We're going to read deeper into it in a moment, but here's the court appearance of the suspected shooter. By suspected, they're the shooter, but that's just what the term they use. The shooter in court appearing for their first appearance.
And Mr. Zane Harmon, you're here on behalf of this defendant, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and you understand that you have the right to be continuously represented throughout this proceeding, and if you cannot afford to hire counsel, then this court is obligated under the Constitution to provide
He looks
counsel
super
for you.
young. I mean, he's a high school student, presumably that went to the high school that he shot up.
Without cost to you. All right, I am going to inform you of a few other matters, and I'm not going to ask you anything, just inform you. So one is, I want to make sure that you are aware that you have the right to remain.
So some Bouth in chat theorizes that the motivation could have been because apparently something came out about the mom leaving the kid with his dad so she could go be a drug addict. And so it's possible that he was motivated by a general hatred of women. And that's definitely, that sounds like a possibility, but I certainly think that played some part in getting the kid to a mental state where he would do this kind of thing. Also, the dad fucking sucked. Yeah, I would imagine if he was so upset about it, you would think the dad would have to suck. Like, he wouldn't be so upset and have such a shitty outlook, I imagine, if the dad was just this perfect parent or a great parent that he got left with. You have to assume he's never really had a stable or good home life.
Silent. You don't have to say.
Not an excuse, but, mentally healthy people with good upbringings and who are in a good mental place don't do what this kid did.
Anything at all. And it's important to understand that
the gun was a birthday present. It is Georgia. You are able to give, a kid a rifle and just tell him to have fun in the backyard. I'm pretty sure it's fully legal, yeah. Pistol, I don't think so, except for maybe, supervision of a parent. But a rifle, for sure, yeah. And I'm pretty sure the shooting was done with a rifle, if I'm not mistaken. Am I wrong? I haven't looked I don't even know what kind of gun was used for the shooting. I'm just assuming it was a rifle because it's always a rifle for these kind of things. So, yeah, in Georgia, I don't think they legislate minors even owning that. But even if they did, the parents gave it to him, or the dad gave it to him, apparently.
Because anything you might say could be used against you at further proceedings associated with your case.
Oh, yeah, the parents are definitely, or the dad, most likely, is definitely going to jail. And it does remind me of that California shooting where both the parents rolled on each other and tried to blame each other and send each other to jail to get themselves out of it after their own son went and committed a shooting. Yeah, what pieces of shit they must have been, huh? Do they really? In Georgia, they'll kill a minor? For a mass killing? I mean... Really? They'll do that? That Georgia... I assume this kid's a minor. Is he 18? Or is he 17 and going to be charged as an adult, maybe? He's being tried as an adult? He's 14, I thought? He's 14. Okay, yeah, so a freshman. High school freshman. So, yeah. Damn. Damn. Yeah, they might put this 14-year-old on death row. Yeah, that's Georgia. That sounds about right. Yeah, Georgia will do that shit. They'll absolutely put a kid on death row to make an example. That is what Republicans do.
Without parole or by imprisonment for life, with the possibility of parole. If you have any questions about these charges, then I would urge you to discuss those with your attorney.
I definitely don't like how, stone-faced the kid seems to be. Granted, we're just seeing him from behind, but, he's not visibly crying or upset either at what he's done or the situation he's in. And, listen, I'm not an armchair psychoanalyzer, but... Everything about this kid's mannerisms screams undiagnosed, untreated, and unacknowledged BPD. Or not BPD, ASPD. My bad, not BPD, ASPD.
A preliminary hearing, you'll have the right also to a preliminary hearing, unless you make a bond, which of course at this point there's no bond being requested, or unless you waive such a hearing. You have the right to a speedy and public trial by a judge or jury. You have the right to confront and cross-examine all witnesses. You have the right to call witnesses on your own behalf and testify in your own defense.
Yeah, Bell.
If
Sorry,
you
I
so
mix up
choose.
acronyms.
As you sit here in this courtroom today, under the law, you are presumed innocent. Your refusal
Wait,
to
what the fuck? Is that like a little, like, noise-canceling microphone that she's, like, talking into? Like some kind of reverse, fleshlight? So that she can, like, record all the things said in the courtroom with her voice without typing, but also not talk over or interrupt? That's insane tech. That's wild. I didn't know that existed. It's like a reverse fleshlight you just talk into, and no one else hears it, but the computer hears it and types it out, I guess. That's wild. Court stenographers are getting their jobs are getting easier by the day.
testify at any point in any proceeding will not be used against you in determining whether you are guilty or not guilty. Counsel, let me just inquire as to whether there are any other items that the court should address before we conclude this preliminary hearing.
No. There was a development yesterday afternoon that makes it necessary for our office to have alternate counsel appointed, and arrangements have already been made in that regard. I've already explained that to Mr. Gray, and alternate counsel will be appointed by the end of the day today.
All right, thank you very
Aye.
much, Ms. Donna C. Graves.
Put that kid on death row. That's crazy. Holy shit. There's no way that Republican red-ass Georgia doesn't put that kid on death row. Oh, God. Yeah. How do I...
Right.
There we go. That's how I get it out of full screen. Like, there is no way they don't go all the way with that. Republican, especially in the state of politics that we're in right now, I can genuinely see it. Somehow the media is going to make this kid into a victim. Oh, he's certainly no victim, but I don't like the death penalty. I suppose it's especially rough to see, like, a 14-year-old potentially get the death penalty. You know what I mean? They killed several children. No? Oh, yeah, he killed several children for sure, but he is himself also a child, right? Like, I don't know. I do think that ideally America should not be practicing capital punishment at all, particularly against children, even if their crimes are heinous. We should try for a rehabilitative justice system, right? That is, just generally, I think something we should all strive for, especially on the principle that if for any reason, especially falsely, you ever end up accused of something, we have, like, the innocent until proven guilty part of our law for a reason. Because even an innocent person who's never committed a crime doesn't want to be accused of committing a crime and immediately presumed guilty. In the same way, I think even an innocent person who's never going to commit a crime and has no fear of themselves or anyone they know or love ending up on death row should still be opposed to that, because there have been countless people who have been executed and were later found out to have been given false confessions after being pressured by police because they never did it, or to have DNA evidence come up later that fully exonerates them after their execution. The fact that that could happen to you, it could happen to anybody, and has happened, is why, a large part of why I think capital punishment, it should be outlawed. Xander Hall, there are so many fucking signs. Kid literally said I'm going to do... well, I'm not going to repeat what he said. The kid literally said he was going to do it in the next 2 or 3 years, and when asked about it by his dad, was like, I was hacked, and his dad had no follow-up questions. I was hacked, okay? The boy is 14, a freshman, but the parents are the fucked up ones here. I mean, the kid's definitely the fucked up one here, too. He killed a bunch of other kids, but I don't know. Death penalty being on the table seems pretty cringe. Like, for anybody, but a kid especially, you know? Yeah. I don't know. I think the most powerful country in the world should have also the best rehabilitative justice system in the world. And let's be honest here. The private for-profit prisons are the reason why we don't have a better like criminal justice system. There's a reason why the recidivism rates in America are so skyrocketingly high. There's a reason why our prison quality and our jail quality, but our prison quality too is so low. It's just the American people want to punish anyone who has been suspected of a crime. That is the, law and order, that whole mindset. Even the Democrats have to run on law and order because it's such a popular mindset with Americans. People want to see retribution. They don't want to see redemption or rehabilitation. Yeah. Well, a big part of it as well is, if you execute someone, you've eliminated all possibility of them ever feeling remorse or guilt for what they've done. Like, don't get me wrong, like if there's like a movie or a TV show where like the villain's gotta die, that's totally reasonable in most media. But in real life, it's like, yeah, you should keep these people alive so they have a chance of becoming better people and experiencing guilt and remorse for what they did that got them where they are, right? Like that is ideal, and that is a thing that can happen. And even if they do keep their nose clean and get through the prison system, relatively, fine. A lot of ex-cons in America have a really hard time finding work. It's really hard to get put away and then get out of prison or jail and get right back into the workforce and become a productive member of society, for a variety of reasons. But a big part simply being that if you're an ex-con, it's going to be harder to get hired in the first place for any job. Decision by the Supreme Court of the United States in which the court held that it is unconstitutional to impose capital punishment for crimes committed while under the age of 18. Yeah, I don't know how. I was under the impression they just didn't do that if you're under 18. Like that wasn't even on the table, but the judge seemed to indicate it was. And the kid's 14. Maybe it's up to the states. It wouldn't surprise me if some states or all the states can make their own rules. Once you've done your time, it should be nobody else's business. I don't know. There's a reason why yeah, okay, you clarified. I do think, like, the sex offender registry is a good thing, for example. Or if you ever committed a sex crime against a child, you should never be allowed near children, right? That's just for other people's safety, not to punish anyone, right? Like, you gotta keep the kids safe. That's... Sorry, buddy, but, it doesn't matter how rehabilitated you are. Gotta make sure the kids are 100% safe. You're not allowed near them, right? I think that's a completely reasonable policy, no matter how much time was served. The parents knew he was making threats about the school a year ago and thought buying him a gun would fix it. I don't know if they thought it would fix it, but the dad seemed to not give a shit. Just seemed like a pretty shitty parent, from what I've heard. So yeah, I don't know. It's really just such a bad situation. There's really no confirmation yet on a motive, though I'm sure we're going to find out as more stuff comes out. The Republican right side of things has already, hopped on board with the whole, nothing about this had anything to do with access to guns being the problem. Meanwhile, the left immediately jumps to, this is why we need to ban guns. Unfortunately, the reality is the answer to this is somewhere leaning left in the middle. The fact is the gun was likely purchased, as far as I know, purchased legally, and what was done that was illegal and couldn't have really been prevented by law enforcement was the handing down of that gun to the child to have. And then at that point, the kid was in a, not a normal kid. Normal kids don't take a gun to school and shoot other kids, even if they have a gun. And there are a lot of kids in the American South who have guns. That's not an unusual thing, by the way. It's just the factor of the parents still arming this kid, or the dad, I should say, still arming this kid after, displaying several threats about a school, Yeah, SSW Bradu, I don't know, how it's going about, but the judge is outright saying the death penalty is on the table, so I don't know if the Supreme Court, Trump's red Supreme Court, is going to get involved and stop it or what, but, they're pushing for the death penalty, and he's being tried as an adult. So, yeah. Anyway, depressing segment, but regardless if you enjoyed it or felt that you learned anything, please consider leaving a like. It really does help a lot, and it's totally free, and every thumbs up that you leave on my channel, no matter when, where, or what you're watching from it, boosts my content in the algorithm. twisting YouTube's arm and forcing them to put my content out in front of more new people. So it really means a lot when you hit that like button. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Comment down below to compound that effect. Subscribe and ring the bell icon so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload a new video, because trust me, they won't do that unless you do. And of course, consider following my social medias, link below in the description to see more from me. If you haven't already, join my fan Discord. It is totally free. It is a great community. It's the main hub of my fan base. I announce my uploads and streams there and host game events, call-in streams, and watch parties as well there. And of course, if you want to support me directly financially and you feel like helping me keep the lights on and a roof above my head and you can afford it, consider supporting me by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buying merch at the Streamlabs link down below. But regardless of how you support me, even if you're just watching and lurking in chat, and you haven't said anything, I really do appreciate it for just you being here. It means a ton. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again.